We have our Big 12 schedules for Arizona State Sun Devils football for the next 4 years. We're going to talk about it on this edition of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks as always for tuning in, making us your first listen of the day, and a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. And of course, you can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at RichieBrats36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. We have the Big 12 schedule for Sun Devils football for 2024, 25, 26, and 27. Pretty exciting stuff, and we're going to break it down in this edition of the podcast. I've got a little bit of a structure for how this is going to go. We're going to look at 24 first. We're going to look at the 25 and beyond, and then we'll kind of go through the games that have the most intrigue. I don't really have a script necessarily. There's a little bit of a structure here, but we'll go ahead and just dive right into it. Taking a look at the 2024 schedule for us. So we will have 4 home games and 5 away games for the 2024 season, and then it'll rotate beyond that. So 4 road, 5 road, or 5 home for 25, 5 road, 4 home for 26. You get the idea. That's kind of how it's going to rotate, is 4 home, 5 road for even years, and 5 home, 4 road for odd years. Going ahead and taking a look at the 2024 season, the out-of-conference slate that we have will be 2 home games, 1 away game, the 2 home games being Wyoming and Mississippi State, and the lone away game being Texas State. For the in-conference games, which is what we're here to take a look at, the home slate will be BYU, Utah, Kansas, and Central Florida. The away games will be Arizona, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Cincinnati. Here's some initial thoughts here. I really like that you're getting both of the Utah schools with BYU and obviously Utah in Tempe. I think that's a nice little edge for you in the sense of not having to go to those cold environments. Hopefully, when those are scheduled, it will be when the what's it called? When the weather starts to cool down a little bit. So you would love to have BYU and Utah in like October, November for your team. That's the ideal here. UCF, that one just kind of is what it is. You're either going to Florida where it's warm weather, or you're staying in Arizona where it's warm weather. So that one doesn't really move me one way or the other. The Kansas game, that one is kind of interesting to me. Going to Lawrence isn't very easy, especially the last couple of years, with a Jayhawks team that has been ranked several different times, that is currently ranked in the playoff format after taking down Oklahoma and knocking them down from the top 4 to number 9. They're a good football team, and it'll be interesting to see where they're at next year, because their quarterback, Jalen Daniels, not to be confused with Jaden Daniels, is injury prone, and they're losing their guy, Jason Bean. It's going to be interesting. Utah will be interesting too. Is Cam Rising going to be back for his 40th season? Who knows? Looking at the away slate, this is not easy. This is not going to be an easy slate. You've got U of A, which that's the one constant that you will see in the schedules, which is just the way we wanted it to be. We didn't want to not have U of A every year. We want the Territorial Cup every year. It's just the bread and butter of Arizona State Sun Devils football and for U of A football. That's the one game we care about every year. You win that game, it's a successful season. You can go 1-11. You win the Territorial Cup, Great year. That's all we care about. So that one will be at U of A. That's not anything we're not used to. Even years, it's in Tucson. Odd years, it's up in Tempe. Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a very quality football program. They have more often than not rolled out some pretty good teams. I know last year they were very competitive. This year, not so much. They're 3-5 on the year, 2-3 in conference play. So they've definitely taken a step back from what we're used to seeing out of them. But I know last year they had a sneaky good team. They've put together some talented teams as well. Oklahoma State, this felt like inevitable that you were going to face them 3 consecutive years. This one going back to Stillwater. Oklahoma State has really turned around their season, man. They are very quietly 4-1 in conference play, 6-2 on the season. And that's with barely getting by Arizona State. They've figured their stuff out. They're moving forward. They are the number 22 team in the college football playoff poll right now. Kansas State, they're another team that's really put together a good program. They are also ranked number 23 right now. They are a very stingy team defensively. They do a lot of really good work in the run game, which isn't a surprise. If you know Kansas State football, you know that they're a really good running team. And then Cincinnati, they started off the year kind of interesting. Emory Jones had a terrific start to the year for them, but they've really cooled off, and they're 2-6 in the conference right now, 0-5 in conference play. There's definitely been a learning curve for them. Emory Jones is going to be gone next year. He is a 6-year player, has no more eligibility. I don't know what their future holds beyond him. Will be interesting. The other teams that I forgot to go into detail with, so BYU is 5-3 on the year. They're 2-3 in conference play, so they're quality. UCF is also, just like Cincinnati, 0-5 in conference play. They're 3-5 on the year, so they went undefeated in out of conference, and they are winless in conference play. Of course, we know what Utah and U of A are doing this year. Utah and U of A will be the only returning Pac-12 teams that you will be facing in 2024. Everybody else will be your new roommates, if you will, for Big 12 conference play. I do like that the 2 Pac-12 teams that you're playing are 2 teams that you have a really good rivalry with. Obviously, U of A speaks for itself, but Utah and Arizona State has become a pretty decent rivalry the last 10 years. Kyle Whittingham has really got them into a great position that, we have thoroughly seen from them. Arizona State's kind of shuffled through coaches, but these more often than not are pretty good slugfest games. So for your first year in the Big 12, I do like that those are going to be the 2 Pac-12 opponents that you have here. And then I like that you are getting plenty of other new rivalries started. How's Arizona State going to handle a Texas Tech where we've played some good games with them? We can all go back to the Kalen Ballage 7-touchdown game or 8-touchdown. God, I can't remember. All I know is he ran amok on them. That'll be another interesting one. Oklahoma State playing them 3 years in a row. Is that going to create a rivalry for you? That's also going to be very interesting to look out for. I feel like K-State has some potential. I don't really know about Kansas, but I do think that there's an opportunity here to create some new rivalries. Of course, BYU will be another one to look out for, but that will be your 2024 slate for the first year of Big 12 play for Sun Devils football. Get back into action right now with the NFL season, thanks to FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Guys, I still just don't know what you're doing with your Fridays if you haven't tuned in to the Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Every single Locked On College YouTube channel, including Locked On Sun Devils, will take place with the Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. They're going to cover playoff implications, conference rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff live every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on any Locked On College YouTube channel, including this one. You won't want to miss it. I will see you guys there because I will be tuned into that as well. Even in a down year for Arizona State, of course I care about what's going on in the landscape of college football. Let's go ahead and continue our conversation now and take a look at the Sun Devils slate of Pac-12 games that are going to be beyond the 2024 season. So taking a look at 2025 first, this will be our first year of 5 home games and 4 away games for conference play. It'll start with, we'll look at the away first. You will travel to Utah. You will travel to Colorado. You will travel to Baylor. And you will travel to Iowa State. One of the interesting questions that has been posed, and I just don't believe it, man, is will Deion Sanders still be at Colorado in 2025? If I am correct, his contract does not allow him to leave for at least 3 years or something like that without there being a huge penalty. So I don't buy that he's going to be gone in 2025. But who knows? I'm not somebody that totally understands contract structures and hidden details and whatnot. I am not a smart man when it comes to that stuff. So I won't sit here and pretend to tell you that that's going to be a certainty that he's still going to be there. I don't know. Baylor, super interesting. Baylor has been an up and down football team this year. They are towards the bottom. In the Big 12, they are 2-3, 3-5 on the season overall. Like I said, 2-3, that's in conference play. They just won the conference a couple of years ago. They're still a quality football team there, but they have taken their lumps. They've been an up and down team this year. They've got okay quarterback play. Blake Shapen has been good. Sawyer Robinson has been bad. Decent on the ground, but I feel more confident that they're going to be a good team in 2025 than they're going to be a bad team in 2025. Baylor has really just turned into a rock solid college football program over the last several years. You know, there was a point in time where they were bottom feeders, and now it feels like more often than not, they're a really good team. Iowa State, look, as long as Coach Campbell is there, they're going to be a very good football program. And that's the case this year. 5-3 overall, 4-1 in conference play. They're getting really good production out of the entire team pretty much. 13 touchdowns and 6 interceptions for Rocco Becht, who's their quarterback, and he's only a freshman. So he's going to be there in 2 years when we go to face them short of a transfer or something like that. But they're a good team. As long as Dan Campbell is there, not Dan Campbell, I can't remember his first name. As long as Coach Campbell is there, they're going to be a really good football team. I have a lot of faith in them to maintain that kind of edge. Home, obviously U of A. Texas Tech will be coming here. TCU will be here. TCU, another interesting one. Obviously, they just went to the college football playoff, but they've really come back down to earth. They're 4-4 on the season, 2-3 in conference play. You can just tell that it was a team that really took a step back when you lost guys like Max Dugan and Quentin Johnston. They're going to be figuring themselves out, and they're still airing the ball out really well. They still have a really good offense. They're just missing opportunities to be able to close games and pull out wins more often than not. This is another team that I would feel most confident is going to remain a good football program by the time Arizona State rolls into that 2025 season. As long as Sonny Dykes is there, I do have faith in them. They just need some help reloading with all of their transfers and their departures that they've had from that team. I have faith in them. I'm not overly worried about them being a bad team. Houston is also there for a home game. I don't really know what to do with them. They have struggled this year. They're 1-4 in conference play, 3-5 on the year. I feel like you shouldn't count out Houston more often than not. They were a very, very good football team a handful of years ago, but I don't really know what to do with them anymore. Couldn't tell you one way or the other. And then West Virginia will be coming home as well in 2025. What are we going to do with that game? Obviously, you've had some pot stirs there thanks to Ray Anderson, but hopefully Anderson will be gone in 25. 2026, we're going to power through these right now. U of A, BYU, Texas Tech, Kansas, UCF are on the road. At home is Colorado, BYU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Then going to 2027, Colorado, TCU, Houston, and West Virginia are away. That West Virginia game will be very interesting after what Ray Anderson said. And then at home will be U of A, BYU, Utah, Iowa State, Cincinnati. That's your lineup going through the next 4 seasons now of Sun Devil football once they hop over into conference play with the Big 12 coming up. Got to talk to you guys about our friends over at eBay Motors as well. Passion, drive, patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. One more time, wherever you get those podcasts, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. We will be breaking down this upcoming game this weekend at Utah. Make sure you tune in because we're going to be breaking it down. Tomorrow will be 3 keys to victory, and then Friday will, of course, be our game day preview. Closing it out, these are the games that have the most intrigue for me. I'm not going to go bread and butter here with U of A. That goes without saying. That's an intrigue game every single year. It just is. Here's the games that kind of stand out to me. We'll go ahead and start with West Virginia starting in 2025. If Ray Anderson is still here, the comments he made about Morgantown, West Virginia are something that's probably going to be remembered by the Mountaineers. They're going to start with a road trip to Arizona State in 25, and then we will visit Morgantown in 2027. Like I said, I really hope Ray Anderson is gone by this point in time. If he's not, then we have some serious questions that need to be answered about this program. Even if he's gone, I feel like this is a game that you're going to have a little bit of an edge against because of the comments that were made by the Sun Devils athletic staff. If Anderson is gone, I don't really know how much weight that still holds, but who knows, man? Like, you look for anything that you can use to propel your team to victory, to playing with more passion and an edge, and that's a game that has those kind of elements to it. That's kind of where I stand there. Another game that's interesting to me is Oklahoma State next year. It'll be 3 consecutive years that you will be playing Oklahoma State. This has got to start some kind of rivalry, right? This feels like potentially a slingshot opportunity to get one of your new rivalries going, because it's also important to remember that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving next year. They're going to the SEC. So with them gone, you're going to be looking for those new rivalries to start building upon. You're also hoping that Kenny Dillingham is going to have this Sun Devils program really taking that step in the right direction. He does that for you. You're talking about one of the better teams in the conference that's going to be going head to head with some of the stalwarts there. Like Oklahoma State is a very good program, and Mike Gundy is a very good coach. You can say what you want about him. I personally am a very big Mike Gundy fan. They're going to be competitive as long as he's there. They're going to recruit. They're going to turn out talent. They're going to win a lot of football games. So if Arizona State is able to make something out of this series, who knows? Maybe by the time 2026 comes up, 2027, 2028, you might have a little bit of a rivalry here. And down the road, they might try to push that rivalry a little bit more. I don't know. Beyond them, I think it's just kind of interesting to see what you can generate here. I don't want to include Pac-12 rivalries. I don't want to include Utah. I don't want to include Colorado. Those go without saying. Texas Tech, maybe. I don't really know. BYU has a little bit of intrigue there. Potentially Baylor, maybe TCU. To me, it's going to be the teams that are in the Texas area. I just don't know what kind of rivalry you can create with UCF. I just don't. Or Cincinnati. Like, the distance between those schools is so drastic. I just don't know how much intrigue you're really going to have with them compared to the Texas schools that are, within 1,000 miles away from you. That's kind of my initial thoughts here on the Big 12 schedule that we have for next year and the Big 12 schedule we have for up to the next 4 years. What do you guys think? What were your initial thoughts on the Big 12 schedule getting released? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. You can find the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. That's all that I got for you today. I appreciate you guys as always for tuning in. Remember, wherever you're getting your podcast, to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. I will see you guys tomorrow to start breaking down our game. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.